do another, but they have an architectural renovation program.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
we did problems.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome all. We are going to start with citizen comments, and doesn't look like we have any. And celebrations. I'm going to turn it over to Adam.
Yeah, just a quick technical thing. Dave, do you see that we're streaming?
Oh, I thought you said we were just a minute ago.
I just can't see it on the YouTube page.
Not something on YouTube.
You do not?
I wonder if it's part of what happens.
So we're not streaming right now?
It's not very big.
Did he already leave?
You might be going to chat because I noticed it just before we started.
YouTube was open but not signed up.
So it is open right now, or?
YouTube is open but it's not signed up. So it's good to go.
Okay. Well, wait 1 minute. Due to technical difficulties. It's just Steve.
He might have gone to go look at it because I went over told him I couldn't see it.
I got it.
You can see it?
Yeah. I did the link through the calendar.
I just went to the web page, the YouTube page. All right, so you can see us?
Yep.
All right, maybe it's just me.
Can you see us, Dave?
I can't. It's rough.
Let me look.
But we're live right now, right?
Betsy sees us.
Oh, okay. There's a little delay on this link.
But it's good? You're seeing us?
We're good. All right.
All right, it's just my computer. All right, so we'll start with celebrations. Bear with me because there's quite a few. It's kind of ebb and flow depending on the time of the year. So tonight I got a whole bunch. Start off with the items that are on the website. So the first is Beauty and the Beast production. You know, I touched a little bit on this on the soon-to-be released podcast. I think it's coming out this week. But if not the best show, definitely one of the best shows and productions I've seen all the way through, to include not just the show itself, but the advertising that went out ahead of time, including the trailer, and then promoting it out with different segments of the community. They did a performance at the senior center, the other buildings, advertising on a new sign downtown, and just really good job of connecting the community into that performance. They drew close to or over, I'm not sure what the final count was, about 1,200 audience members over the run of the show, which was fantastic. And just everything from the costumes to the set design, which was an original set, choreography, the live music in the pit, just an awesome accomplishment. So thank you and congratulations to all involved. You can see photos and a list of the folks that put the show on the website story. And obviously congratulations to all the students that were part of the cast and the pit crew. Prior to Thanksgiving, we had sent a survey out to parents indicating if they would be interested in a backpack kit for COVID prior to traveling and seeing family over that holiday. We had an overwhelming response, actually exceeded the demand we had last January, February, in the middle of the Omicron surge in terms of families interested in receiving those kits. 520-ish, 40-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. So we were able to meet that entire demand. Amanda Galidas and Diane Evans coordinated it and got all those kits out to families the day before Thanksgiving break to bring home over the holidays. Quiz Bowl continues to be, sometimes it kind of flies under the radar with all the other activities we've got going on, but we have a bit of a dynasty going, especially in that middle school team. They again qualified for nationals this year, as did the high school varsity team. Both the high school varsity and JV teams did exceptionally well. Really strong season, but high school varsity and middle school will be going back to nationals later on this year in Chicago. So you'll be seeing another overnight out-of-state trip request probably trickling down here over the next couple months to support that accomplishment. And I don't want to steal Paige Paulson's thunder, but we had 3 teams qualify, 3 fall athletic teams qualify for the state finals, and I'll let Paige talk more about that when he was up here. A few other stories. WLNS did a nice piece on Coach Vroom and the transition with Coach Lewis regarding the boys basketball program and kind of what how the team has transitioned. It was a really good PR piece for the district. It really talked about the strength and the relationships of the district throughout that program, even during that coaching change. So we appreciate that story and looking forward to their season starting on tomorrow night. We received a grant from the Kimberly Ann Guillory Foundation. It was submitted by Amanda Galidas. This was for an additional AED. Submitted last spring and kind of lost sight of it because it's been a while, and we were notified over the weekend that we would be receiving that grant. So it's about a $2,000 value. Obviously connects into board goal number 4, continuing to enhance school safety. And so because of that initiative, we'll have another AED to employ either in one of our buildings or one of our travel kits that accompanies teams out for some of their events. On Saturday, that was a very busy day throughout the community and the district, but it was all good stuff, right? So it was exhausting and fun at the same time, and it was just really cool to see all those things. So just some highlights. The school's foundation put on the Pancakes with Santa. I don't know what the total count was, but I know they had about 260 participants that were pre-registered, and then you had people like me who just showed up, mess up their count.
I heard it was about 350.
Yeah, I would assume based on what I saw, it would exceed 300. So yeah, 350 sounds right. We had a contribution of elementary art. Mrs. Herrick and the elementary students in her art class put on all the background and the scenery and everything that went in behind Santa. They also did a community art gallery at Curio Eye Care downtown, which was on display throughout the day on Saturday. So for all the folks walking downtown Saturday, and there were lots of them, they could go in there to see that elementary artwork. I also want to note, just kind of a related thing, I emceed the Veterans Day dinner again this year, and Mrs. Herrick had the first grade students contribute eagles. So there was all these different pieces of art of eagles, and they were put up around the church hall where the dinner was. And so it was just another way of integrating into the community as part of that dinner and supporting the location of that. So elementary art continues to be very visible, and it's really cool to get those students to see their stuff actually out in public, show it to their parents and other people there. So a fine job by the school's foundation and everyone involved in putting on that event. Later on that evening, we had the light parade, 25th annual light parade put on by the Chamber of Commerce, and the school district was well represented there. We had floats entered by the transportation department, which was a very competitive for best float. Did end up going to the Boy Scouts, partially because I think they had that Sasquatch thing, which was pretty popular. But I would say a very close second would have been our transportation department.
The transportation department has won it quite a bit.
Well, there was some controversy. It was so they haven't conceded defeat yet.
Yeah, they worked very hard. It was amazing.
But
Truly was amazing.
yeah, but all the floats were good, and so like I said, transportation department did a phenomenal job with theirs. We were also represented by the Be Nice clubs. They had a float, girls basketball. Willie the Hornet, of course, was there, covered in lights. And of course, as is tradition, the high school marching band kind of kicked the parade off at the very beginning. So again, thank you to all those organizations within the school community for their participation and getting the word out about all the things that are taking place here at the schools. Saturday afternoon, morning, we had the elementary first robotics in their inaugural competition at Waverly High School. And I was able to be there for about an hour or so, and kids just had a great time. I will say, getting to talk to most of the parents, they were super into it as well, which is really cool to see. And just really want to commend Sean Ferguson for taking on that as a coach. As we've discovered at both the high school and the middle school level, it's a lot more and much bigger than what you really think it is, right? So you kind of go through all the planning and you think you know, and then you show up and it's like this massive event with all these teams, and it's quite the spectacle. So our kids did really well. I think they had a great experience. Sean did just a phenomenal job, learned a lot. And as what I saw one of the parents on the team put on Facebook, we weren't last. So, right, that's a good thing.
They had
So.
tons of fun and we weren't.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, those kids are so into it, they're going to take that enthusiasm with them as they go to the middle school and the high school, and that was really kind of, this is the competitive branch of that K-12 STEAM initiative, right? You really wanted to push at the elementary, because now those kids are moving up into the high school and say, hey, what else you got, right? Because they want to extend that learning. And so this will help improve our middle school team and our robotics team, but also just really get those kids more into the STEAM fields. And so again, just really appreciative of Mr. Ferguson and for taking that on, and looking forward to where that team goes in the next upcoming years. The Model UN Club also spent the weekend competing. They were in Kalamazoo for the Great Lakes Invitational. They did an exceptional job. They had the unfortunate task of being, so one of the main topics discussed was Ukraine. And believe it or not, the Williamston delegation got assigned to be Russia at the event. So they kind of had the deck stacked against them, but even with that, they earned they were awarded the, make sure I have this right, best delegation. So that Russian delegation actually won the top delegation, and from what Mrs. Wade said, they had spent a considerable amount of time preparing for that, and even had, so they had some, I don't know, like matching Russian paraphernalia and things like that they were able to set up at their table, and just did a really good job. So we also had a number of individual winners and different accolades, and even the number of alumni that came back to help out, which is always a really cool thing to see, that connection to the program. So thank you to Mrs. Wade and all the volunteers and chaperones that assisted with that event. And then last one, again, connecting back into board goal number 4 of school safety. We continue to improve our position. We have been doing the do-it-yourself Stop the Bleed kits going back from 5 years ago. We can do it ourselves for about a quarter of the cost it would take to buy those off the shelf. So Amanda Gladys and I last week assembled another 80 of those kits, and so they're already distributed out to the buildings, and those will get installed over winter break. So just another example of position improvement regarding board goal number 4. So I told you I had a lot of celebrations, but all really good things. I'll eventually get some of those other stories up on the website that occurred over the weekend, but we don't meet again until January, so I wanted to make sure you were aware. The celebrations, pending any questions?
I have a question. Is there any discussion getting test kits out for students coming back from winter break?
Yeah, there's discussion. Because the demand was so high, it really kind of went back into our reserve. And so we've ordered more. My understanding is they've arrived, and so now it's just a question of they'll have time to get that coordinated. So they're looking at it. I'll probably know by the end of the week if they think they can pull that off. It's a lot of work because obviously you have to sort everything and get it all disaggregated and get the right kit to the right kit. But I think they might give it a shot if they feel like they have enough supplies to sustain us after we come back from break.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you. Moving on to a fall update, which I'm guessing is our esteemed athletic.
Got a 33% chance you got it right. Here's
taken a glance at the audience and thought, the tall guy in the green shirt.
This go for him? Perfect. Well, thank you for having me. Though it's fall sports recap, obviously winter is on us already, and our gyms are full from after school till like 9 o'clock, and that's almost every single gym. So it's a busy time, but it's a good time to look over our fall sports. Our first one up, girls cross country. We have 14 girls out this year. I should say second place in conference, and we were the state team qualifiers, and we finished 11th place overall at the state meet, which if you haven't been there is a massive event, which is an awesome spectacle. All the kids running through the infield to start and then finishing on the finish line at the Motor Speedway it's one of the greater sporting events that the state offers, and it's a great atmosphere. The boys had 12 out. We finished third in conference, which was one of their goals as far as us moving up into our building a program. We have a couple perennial powerhouses in the conference, and third place was attainable, and we met that goal this year, and we had one state qualifier. Girls golf, 12 girls out this year. We finished second in conference. We were team qualifiers for state, and we finished 10th overall at state. Boys tennis, we had 29 kids out this year. We finished second in our region, which automatically qualified us for state, but we also obtained enough points in the regional to go regardless of our finish. That was down in Kalamazoo. Again, another great spectacle because we were at two different college sites, being Kalamazoo and Western. It's just a lot of tennis and a lot of back and forth, and that's a really fun day. A little chilly every now and again, but a good day. And actually, tennis and golf were played on the same day, so that was kind of fun to get the experience of both. Boys soccer, first year coach Ian Kurth. We had 30 kids out, and we finished first in conference, which was a great success for the team. We did bow out in the second round of districts, but nonetheless had a successful season. Volleyball, we had 36 girls out. We finished second in conference. We beat Mason twice, which was a huge win for the program, as we have not done that since we've been part of the same division, and I don't know how long before that. So great job for the girls. Made it to the district finals and lost to Lansing Catholic. Football, we had 70 kids out. We finished third in conference. Two teams, one team made both teams made kind of a run. I think Hazlitt lost in the first round of playoffs, just us, but Mason obviously made a good run this year. And being one of the smallest schools in our division, we definitely had a very successful season. Sideline cheer, we had 10 girls out this year, and that was one of our bigger teams of recent memories, and I believe we were freshman heavy, so that is a good sign for things to come, keeping that program going. Girls swim and dive with a fourth place conference finish, and we had 15 kids out this year with our swim and dive program. Co-op sports, now we're going into kind of, this started a little bit different with winter, but moving into that. Hockey, we have 2 kids on the team, and if you do remember or not, our co-op changed a little bit, and we have about 7 different schools in our co-op now, so making the hockey team is actually a very big deal with Grand Ledge and DeWitt and those teams being part of it. So our hockey team is a very big and solid group. And then gymnastics, we did have 3 other kids that were out, so our participation for that co-op with Hazlitt is up to 5. Our winter sports started at the beginning of the month, first week, second week. We have 13 boys out for swim and dive, 37 out for basketball, 18 out for girls basketball. Wrestling has 24, and then we lost our competitive cheer coach right at the start of the season. We did not have enough girls to fill the team, but we are currently actively searching for a new coach. Some administrative topics, just kind of an overview of 230 athletes participate in fall sports. We require all the coaches to be fingerprinted. Volunteers have to be fingerprinted their first time through, and we do a background eye check. It's subsequent years to keep on top of it. Athletic registration fees are done online. Athletes have either been paid or been waived, or payment plans and communications have been sent. Some of the things that we're working on, we had a great Be Nice game with our football team this year. We were able to really go out this year with the jerseys and a great night and a little soundbite from some of the football players. It was great working with Kate Wilcox on that, and our plan is to do something for girls basketball this winter. And we're also going to add a military appreciation night for basketball as well. And we're working with a local sergeant to get that set up. Athletic Leadership Council, this was an initiative that kind of started last year, but due to other things obviously taking much more priority as we're trying to get back to some more normalcy, it really got off the ground this year. We have our first scheduled meeting for next Wednesday, and that'll basically be student-driven. Whatever initiative, whatever goal they'd like to reach, whatever thing they'd like to enact with student athletic-driven, they will have their voice, and I really just will facilitate and give them realistic options on what they'd like to do. So I'm excited for that first one and see what the group wants to come up with. We have a good mix. We have a couple seniors and some sophomores that are representing this year. The requirement was that they are active in not active, but have played one sport throughout the year, and that they submitted a registration to be a part of it. And then hopefully as the years go on, this grows and then kids want to become more part of it.
So how many in all are on it?
There is 7.
So was there like did you take everyone that filled out an application, or was there some type of?
I did not. There was a couple. There were a couple things that kids decided not to go out for sports, and then a couple of the. I guess what would that be? It wasn't necessarily an essay, but a short answer thing.
So there's
I wanted to make sure kids really wanted to buy in, right? So, but yes, most people that were into it got selected, and again, I'm looking forward to seeing what students actually want out of their athletic and academic experience through athletics here at Williamston.
One sport I didn't see on there, and I thought it was a fall sport, but equestrian, did that not go this year?
I don't believe that the person who volunteers got that off the ground this year.
Okay.
We did lose the coach from the year prior, and there was some interest, but I don't think it did not go through this year. That would be a part of our club sports that we offer.
Okay. Are they still doing that fishing one too? Did that ever get off the ground? I know they were talking about it.
Did for a while. I don't know if it came back post-COVID.
Yeah.
It was doing its thing prior to that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about it recently.
Hadn't heard much either.
I don't know if it's a spring offering or not.
Yeah, I
To
don't
be
know.
honest, when COVID happened, I don't know. I haven't heard of what they're doing about it.
I just remember when it came before us.
And they were doing something.
Yeah.
They did fish.
They did.
They were fishing.
They did.
So, pretty cool.
Any other questions with those? All right. Enrichment. As you can see, I just wanted to put up a few things that we've been doing through it. I think Adam has touched on the new pool lights before, but we were able to replace all lights in the pool. And if you had been swimming in there before, you would have seen. I wish I would have done the before picture. Just how dim it made the area look, and maybe somewhat of a safety issue, as you can see to the bottom is probably thing that's needed in a pool in a deep end, but we replaced all 7 lights. 8 lights, 4 on each side, and it gives it a much different look as far as the lighting bouncing off the top of it, and it's definitely a much needed change to that facility. Our new decals on the walls, we had metal prints made of pictures of our champions, a hornet, and then basketball best in the country for each state sign up, and a big push by Adam to get that going in our branding, and we were able to get those up and use them in our fitness center. It's just another added thing to promote what we're doing and how successful we've been. We have banners placed up in the gym of the teams that compete there, in addition to the ones in the hallway of the sports teams that we aren't able to place at the field all year round. So that was a nice change to be able to see everything in their element. The other pictures on there are branding pictures. We're working really hard on getting our stuff out there, getting people in the community, our sports teams, just making sure that we have Williamston gear for everybody. I think that's a huge thing to take some pride in what we're doing, just to have those out there with the families and around school. And then the middle one there, though you can't really see it, just another part to the gym for keeping it as pristine as we can. We did have new rugs, runners for where the chairs sit, whether it be volleyball or basketball, and possibly even wrestling. Chairs will go on those rugs on the sideline, just as another not only a visual piece, but certainly a functional piece as well.
We also, over the summer, as you might recall, we did extensive painting throughout that area. There's still some more I want to get done, maybe this coming summer. We were able to purchase a tarp that covers the performance gym floor for performances, so we don't get it marked up. We actually went through, last summer, and did a lot of touch-up work on the performance gym floor to make sure that was in good shape. And the bottle fillers, which again, most folks would probably just walk past them, but they're not cheap. And so we put, I think, 4 new bottle fillers in the fitness center as well for folks to use.
And more than that time, a lot of upgrades that definitely are worth their weight to get. We can having great facilities is just part of promoting what we do and being the best that we can with the things we have.
Okay.
Paige, when's the ring ceremony for the soccer team?
We are doing it the Tuesday. We play Lansing Catholic, so I believe that's the 13th or 14th. My dates might be escaping me. But
Next
Tuesday
week,
night, yeah.
Next week.
Tuesday night, where the girls and boys play the varsity doubleheader. Yes, it will be at the halftime of the boys game.
Is the basketball team already on theirs?
That I'm not sure of. Last I knew, they did a sizing in the fall, and I don't know if they're in yet. They did, Coach Lewis did a sizing in the fall, and I'm not sure if they were in. The boys basketball program kind of spearheaded theirs. Both teams took care of theirs, so I'm not fully in the loop on when they're coming in.
Very cool. Any questions?
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Winter Data Day.
Well, I'm excited about data, so it might not be sports, but it's just as interesting to me.
Can I preface this real quick?
Sure.
Okay, sorry. So we do these data days at the level, and then at the building level, and then at the district level. And so there's a lot of work. This is really where a lot of the heart of the educational stuff comes into play, right? Because we're looking at student data, we're making adjustments and interventions. So this is where the real nitty-gritty work takes place in terms of our MTSS system. In the past, we really haven't explained, I don't think, to the board like what this looks like in a lot of detail. Like I know everyone's familiar with MTSS, but what we thought we would experiment with is just kind of giving a quick recap of some of the highlights, probably like the highlights, so to speak, the main takeaways from each of the buildings when they come to the district level. So that's where the buildings come and present to the district leadership team, the principals, coaches, and teachers come in. And really great stuff. And I just feel like, we probably need to do a little bit better job of trying to communicate the outcomes of some of those day-to-day, since it is so significant to the business that we do here with educating kids. So this is kind of an experiment tonight based on our winter day-to-day. And with that introduction, I'll let Michelle hit the highlights on it.
And I'm going to add to that. Actually, I was going to state that we are doing it differently. This is our second year with COVID. We hadn't done it at all. And it used to be a whole day, and it used to be all buildings. And it was a lot of time for administrators to be away and a lot of information. So now we're actually doing it. This year we did it in 3 days, just the way it worked out. We schedule about an hour and a half for each of the buildings to come and talk to Adam and myself. And it's very deep now. It goes deeper because we have the time, and it's very intentional and specific for that building. So on that note, tonight I'm going to share with you the celebrations and area of focus for Discovery, Explore, Middle School, and High School. And at the end, as usual, sorry, I'm going to pick this up, any questions that you might have. So to start, we also have Little Hornets Preschool. And their celebration, Little Hornets implemented a research-based system in which collaboration, professional development, and evidence-based practices are being consistently implemented. And I'm sorry, you were supposed to see a different slide, so I'm saying what I'm going to share with you. You'll have to excuse that. Area of focus is emphasis will be on transfer of student surface learning to deep understanding of concepts. They're monitoring progress for growth and will now be looking at, rather than just achievement outcomes, they're going to look at the growth. Prioritizing research-based Tier 1 instructional practices, which include adaptation of curriculum for their part day program to ensure it's taught with fidelity, because it's really meant to be a full day program. So in this way, they need to look at it and take out maybe pieces that they don't need to focus on.
So we always talk about how we have like that research base, right? And we take our initiatives from that research base. That's what the preschool is trying to work on right now, right? So they have a lot of these new initiatives, and they're trying to connect the why for their staff to kind of see the big picture of why those initiatives are so important. In fact, they're actually using John Hattie's, one of his latest publications, as the genesis of their research base, because he's now published something specifically for preschool. And so I think it's going to be great, because again, there's going to be that connected focus around a set research base, like the rest of the district has. So it's good stuff.
So for Discovery, the celebration, this year with the addition of Heather Lewis's support, Discovery is able to provide social emotional learning, or SEL, once a week for every classroom. Heather pushes into the class the first week of the month, and she focuses on zones of regulation. Cassie does a video reading on a SEL book that she chooses, and Rachel, our social worker, provides second step curriculum. And then the fourth week of the month, there's a guest speaker who also does social emotional learning initiatives. So their area of focus is their after-school intervention, and that is designed, the program is designed in response to the building data. Every student rotates to a center that includes writing, a research-based phonics program, the bookworms differentiation instruction support, games that focus on reading and partner reading. And this provides intensive opportunities in key areas of literacy development for all of their students who participate. For Explore, their celebration is observations within classrooms of the new ELA reading program, and it's all been very positive, both with seeing how teachers are using the material and how students are engaging with the books. Their area of focus, they're continuing the professional learning of bookworms. They're also keeping math as a focus in spite of the energy that's being put into bookworms and the wellness of students through SEL. And through number talks, math discussions, and interventions, they're focusing on math. Their after-school program is also focusing on math interventions, and they had 70% of the students who qualified for the program. They are participating.
Sorry, how many, can you say that again?
70% of the students that qualified. So you have to have gotten an invitation basically to qualify under MTSS need. 70% of the students took advantage of it. So that is a really high number. For our middle school, The celebration this year for the middle school is able to reinforce their academic, behavior, and social emotional PBIS system, and they're utilizing their grade level teams to problem solve and support the needs of all students instead of COVID solving. So we're getting back to the basics and academic needs. The area of focus, they're using their NWEA data trends to focus on informational reading and constructed writing responses. They're developing additional strategies that are being implemented across grade levels as well as content areas. So they're meeting as full team groups. For high school, 90% of the students who took the SAT scored proficient on the History Social Studies question. The Social Studies department focuses on SAT prep, which has proven to be successful as shown by our yearly data. The area of focus is our M-STEP, which will no longer be given on the same day as SAT and will be taken in the morning rather than the afternoon. I know that Chris, you had asked some questions about that, and we did a deep dive. The areas that the tests will be taken will be scattered so as not to overload the Wi-Fi system. They're looking at snacks to be considered as it is provided for our SAT. Additionally, students, parents, and staff will be made aware of the importance of this test so that it's taken more with fidelity.
So to sum that up, because I know it's really hard to get an actual answer on this, but what we think is the cause was environmental, because there were, number one, there were technology issues where the internet kept going down and the kids had a hard time connecting into the testing software that day, and apparently many were very frustrated with it. So when that was done, because it's a high stakes test for the district, but the kids, there's nothing in it for them, they just got through it. And so what we're really doing is trying to change the environment around that assessment and see if that helps get the results up. Because the bottom line is, we know the kids learned the material because they had a very strong performance on the SAT, which is basically the same content as what they're seeing, the same themes that they're seeing on the SAT. So we know they know the stuff. So what was left over as our conclusion was that it was environmental. So we're going to kind of approach the structure of that test differently this year and see if that helps.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. How are the areas of focus determined?
By the building and by their SIP goals, like they do their building goals. And so that is what they focus on for the year. And then at the end of the year, we look at that and determine, are they still meeting? We usually take 3 years to work on a goal as we develop the process. And they are built on our district goals. So they're scaffolded just the way board goals are scaffolded with us, with our district goals. Any other questions, comments? Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so
Would you
much.
like this back?
I think you are also, no, you're doing the next one.
Oh, thank you.
Issue your report card.
All right, so the last week, the Michigan School Report Card, or as they call it, the Michigan School Index System, was released publicly. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of media coverage. If you kind of think back to pre-COVID, they used to jump all over this stuff, right? Because it's like, you can rank the schools, and it was always usually a front page article or right up there. Post-COVID, they seem so far, at least the media, to have forgotten about this, although they did publish plenty of articles last week on schools that didn't do well. So,
I was going to say.
so bad news sells, I don't know, but we will continue to see if we can get a little more exposure around this, because this is a pretty big deal, all in all. So again, this research was done internally, simply by going onto the My School Data's website, My School Data website, and you can go through all the results. So Dr. Cook spent a good amount of time last week going through all the scorecard data that has been released to the public and kind of seeing where we fell. So there hasn't been like an official third-party review of this yet. These are just the results as we were able to find them on the site. So if you think back to pre-COVID, the 3 years before COVID, and really right after the Every Student Succeeds Act was passed, Williamston High School ranked top in the area for 3 years running. Then we hit COVID and there wasn't any scorecard data for a couple of years. So this is really the first release of this data since the pandemic started. And I'm pleased to inform the board based on what we have been able to find, and I provided the packet that includes a table summarizing the rankings and all the individual scorecards from area districts that Williamston High School again ranked number 1 in the area, again based on what we can find of what has been the publicly released information. Before I kind of dive into that, I'll give you just a little bit of a review, since again it has been a couple years since we've had this to present. So the Michigan School Index System report shows federally required school accountability measures that were passed under the Every Student Succeeds Act of 2015. If you recall, this is what replaced No Child Left Behind. Up to 7 components make up a school's overall index value. Those include student participation on state tests, student participation on the WIDA access assessment. WIDA is what is used to screen students who are English second language learners or English language learners. Student proficiency on state tests, student growth on state tests, student graduation rates, English learner progress on the WIDA, and then measures of school quality and student success, which include for K-12 on-track attendance versus chronic absenteeism, at the K-8 level, access to the arts and physical education, at K-8, access to librarians and media specialists, in grades 11 and 12, access to advanced coursework opportunities and post-secondary enrollment. The index system calculates values from 0 to 100 for the overall, for the school overall, as well as any components or subgroups within the school. Index values are based on the degree to which schools met targets on the different components. The index system also identifies low-performing schools and establishes 3 federally required categories, none of which apply to us. So that is the kind of a summary of the index rankings, or the index scores. So our high school, based on what has been released, had an index of 97.49, which was, again, based on what we were able to find, easily the best in the area. And I think the next district that we would call comparable to us was at an 87.61. So easily the strongest outcome in the Lansing area that we were able to find. And then this would mark the 4th consecutive year, again, keeping in mind that for a few years there was no data due to the pandemic. The 4th consecutive year that the high school has ranked number 1 on this report. Williamston Middle School, we have not got into as much detail on that. Again, we only had a few days to respond to this. But again, based on what we were able to find on the My School Data website, which is where all the public information is released, Williamston Middle School ranked 3rd in the area, but missed ranking 1st in the area just by 1.53 points. So, I mean, we were within 2 points of being number 1 in the middle school too. So it's basically a toss-up. I mean, we could have, you know, we're right there. So I think there's a lot to be proud of here, especially rebounding from the pandemic. And I think one of the nice things is to say that, you know, just much like our SAT scores, we've really stayed level, right? I mean, we obviously saw some issues with M-STEP, but that's to be expected. But as kids move through their educational progression, we're seeing that we actually were able to keep our head above water and stay pretty much where we are pre-pandemic, at least in terms of this metric. So, so again, we'll wait for something hopefully more formal or just a third-party assessment of this to come out. But based on what we were able to find and what anybody else could go online and look at, a lot to be proud of from our 2 secondary buildings. We'll continue to do some research and look into the elementary level down the road, but really good stuff. Any questions on the index report that I can speak to?
Can you just explain the difference between the overall index and the growth index?
Yeah, so growth index is looking at the progression that you've had between those years, right? So, and that's really what we've prided ourselves on, is growth, because, you know, again, you can look at socioeconomic status and pretty much figure out districts that are always going to do well achievement-wise and districts that won't do well achievement-wise. That does nothing to show the impact that the school is having on students getting better, right, and learning. So the growth is actually the most important piece, at least for me, because it's showing that even if you're coming in way up here, can we make you better? And if you're coming in down here and you need a lot of intervention and support, how far can we push those students to maximize their academic potential? So the growth index, I would say, of all those is probably the most important to me. And again, if you look back pre-COVID at the huge banner on the back of the room there, we were amongst the top 4% in the United States in terms of that student growth between grades 3 and 8. So this has kind of been our calling card. This is why MTSS is such an important investment that the board continues to make, and it's paying off, as we can see from the data.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm hoping we can get some more formal coverage or third party to kind of come out and look at this, but we'll keep you updated.
Upcoming presentations and discussion.
So in January, that'll be the board's organizational meeting, and so we'll kind of pause and wait for the board to have that meeting, and then we'll kind of start planning out months following that, spring, and then our stretch drive to the end of the year. Other upcoming community events, for those listening at home or watching later, the Safe Routes to School Parent Survey was released last Friday. Every school sent a link to that survey as part of the Safe Routes grant application. It'll close this coming Friday, so we do encourage parents to go in and take that 5 to 10 minutes to complete that survey. The reason it's important is we're collaborating with a number of other organizations, the Michigan Fitness Foundation, Michigan State University, the Michigan Department of Transportation, etc., Williamstown Township, City of Williamston, to improve the routes that students use to get to school. So whether they bike or walk, and it's also obviously a community improvement too, because those are new, biking paths, running paths, walking paths for everybody. We could have the potential to bring in as much as $1 million as part of that grant application, but it is important that folks respond to the survey data, as that is a metric that the approval committee looks at when making that decision on who they're going to invest that funding in. So again, that was released on Friday in a communication by each individual school. And then on Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock, right here in the boardroom at the middle school, we'll have a community safety forum. So that would be an opportunity for folks to come in and provide some input on some different initiatives that are being considered, as well as hear a recap of things that have already been done, ask questions. So I'll be joined by NISA Chief Mike Yance and Williamston Police Chief Jim Wolf, and so the three of us will be here to answer questions and kind of talk about school safety for those that are interested. So again, that's Thursday at 4, right here in the boardroom at the middle school. That is Superintendent's report for this evening. Any questions?
I just want to add, talking about that safety meeting with parents and the things that have been discussed, we've done a lot of closed sessions about that. So some of those things will be brought to the community. So I know some of us wanted to be there. If you are planning on attending that meeting, please let me know, because I need to, if we have more than 4 people, it could be considered a meeting, but I'm trying to get some legal stuff on that, because as long as we don't ask questions, like, we might be okay, but then there could be some problems. So please let me know, because if we're going to get into that realm of having more than 4 people, then we might need to have some, make some concessions. So please let me know if you're planning on attending Thursday. It's at 4. I think it's planned to go from 4 to 5:30.
Yeah, because my child care ends at 6, so.
Okay.
And that's in this,
Right
In
here.
this room.
I'll be right here.
and regarding that link, that survey link that went out to parents, is that available on the website anywhere? And do you have to be a current parent, or can?
Yeah, for that one,
neighbors that are neighbor to the schools or people that might not any
For
pay
that,
tax
so
into it?
there's three parts to it. For that specific survey, yes, it has to be a current parent, and it has to go out to the school that that parent is specifically associated with. So if you're like a high school parent, you're getting a link to the high school survey. They have to be separated. That's just the way they'll review the results. So it would only be in that, the link would only be in that correspondence from the school. There will be a reminder email. I think each of the schools are planning to send out later this week. There's also a student survey for grades 3 through 12, and that's being coordinated. The information on that was part of the letter that went out to parents last Friday. That's being coordinated by the buildings in terms of like what that schedule looks like to have the students go in and take the survey. But it's basically just asking them questions about, how do you get to school? What is your preferred mode of transportation? And then lastly, there's a tally sheet, which is going to run tomorrow through Thursday. And what that is a identified teacher or the classroom teacher at the elementary school will ask students some basic information about how they got to school that day and kind of keep track of that, as well as some other logistical, environmental information to kind of puts that in context. So that whole part is a major push part of the application, but all that will be wrapped up by winter break, and then we'll be able to move on to the remaining phases.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, this is one aspect of the requirements for safe routes to school is getting input from the community. And the survey is very simple. I did mine for my kids of how we get to school. So it literally takes 3, maybe 5 minutes to fill out. So I encourage anyone that gets it to fill it out.
But outside of that, right, if you're a community member and you don't have children in the district, you can still be involved in the process, right?
Absolutely.
So we've done the walking
Yep.
audits, we've already done the first community forum, very similar to the safety thing we've been talking about. We had, in this room, we had members of the community come in and representatives of all those organizations here. They were all able to contribute and give ideas and talk through that. And there'll be at least 1 or 2 more of those coming up. So this part is just one little snapshot. There'll be plenty more opportunities for the community to come in and discuss ideas.
Next, moving on, we do not have any board committee reports. We do have one discussion item about out-of-state trips for our Model UN. She did a very nice job giving all these details and laying this out. Are there any questions about this?
This was just a new opportunity that came up after they had submitted their
Right.
known trips, and so I would be supportive of approving this. You're probably, like I said, you're going to see a couple more trickle in probably for Quiz Bowl too, because that was just an unexpected opportunity that they're going to get later this year.
Is there any, I do notice it does say in here some help or scholarship money if people can't afford to go. Do you
I don't,
Sure,
but
you want me
I
to
can
go?
find out details on how that works if you're curious.
I'm just wondering, it says we offer partial scholarships, and I just,
Well,
Wanna
not
make
only
sure we
UN,
can
and this is
go.
something Sarah and I talked about ironically last week, Sarah Tynan and I, they're self-generating, their budget is self-generating.
Right.
So they have some autonomy in terms of how they allocate those resources, and so that could be something that they use to put some of their funds into supporting students who are facing economic hardship as far as participating in some of those trips. But that would be discretionary of the option of the advisors.
and they would let school know that they needed extra funds.
I can only speculate in terms of what the conversation or communication looks like between the advisors and the students.
Any other questions?
No, this isn't like during spring break, is it?
I'm sorry?
This, their trip?
It's
April
after- it's
13th?
after.
It's after spring break.
After
Just
spring
after?
break.
Okay.
Spring break is like the last weekend March.
Yep.
Good.
Somewhere.
Oh,
Last
wow.
year was our first week
Finally
with the
made-
earlier,
yeah.
for us earlier, and for the rest of the state, the normal spring break window. So,
March.
yeah, last week of March.
If you have any questions, I'd reach out to Adam about this, otherwise we will move this to vote in January. And thank her for putting that together so nicely. All right, next, can I please have a motion to approve our calendar, our minutes from our last meeting?
I make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education approve the minutes for the regular regular meeting held on November 14th, 2022, and the special meeting held on November 21st, 2022, as presented.
Second.
So first Sarah, second Deb. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that we do not have any roll call items. Separate action items. Can I have a motion to approve the Ferris Now pilot program?
Make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education approve the pilot program of Ferris Now to begin with the 2023-2024 school year.
So first Chris, second Dave. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Can I please have a motion for the approval of the Algebra 2 curriculum change?
I make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education approve changing the 2-year Algebra 2 extended course to a 1-year Algebra 2 enrichment course.
Second.
Okay, first by Sarah, second by Dave. Any discussion? I do have one thing on this, and it's more just informational. I did have a couple of people ask me why we didn't ask questions about this, and I kind of explained that this Algebra 2 curriculum, high school has done a really nice job over many, many years of helping students who are struggling in algebra. We've seen this class go from 2 semesters to 2 years to back and forth, and so I think they're just kind of updating, for me, they just were updating us on what they were going to do now with the new requirement. So I did just want to throw that out there if anybody else had anyone ask that one who didn't ask. It's kind of the same information, just being presented out a different way. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. The next one is the motion for the approval of the Kids Corner Little Hornets Playground.
I move that the Williamston Board of Education approve the Kids Corner Little Hornets Playground renovation project and accept the bid from Sinclair Recreation for a cost not to exceed $115,000.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The last, can I have a motion for Dr. Spina's evaluation?
Make a motion.
I make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education approve the evaluation of Dr. Adam J. Spina and give him a ranking of highly effective.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I'm going to add, I would just like to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you do and all that you do for our district. It shows in this evaluation the time that you put in it to make sure that we're up to date on our board goals and what's happening. I also want to thank each and every one of you for really taking it seriously and asking questions and really going through it. I do appreciate it. I don't ever want this to just be a checkbox. Yep, he does a good job and move on. So I thank you for that. I also thank Chris for putting it all together. So if there isn't any other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Our board goals are there. We do not have any new correspondence. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments in the audience? So the next is board member reports and requests. Do we have any? I just want to add, I went to the Williamston Schools Foundation breakfast. Marvelous, marvelous event. Those kids had a great time. They did an amazing job. And I want to send a special thank you and shout out to Santa Claus who showed up and Mrs. Claus. They were fabulous. The kids really enjoyed them. Also, the bus drivers float. I've been here a really long time and watched them put a float together, and the creativity that we have in our bus drivers is crazy good. So I think that they do that because everybody really enjoys that.
Sorry, did you have more?
No, well, I just want to remind everybody that I have the discussion for the security. Please let me know if you're going to attend that on Thursday. And Sarah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to the Lego robotics. I was there on Saturday. This is a group of 4th and 5th graders. There were 10 of them on the team, and what they accomplished is truly remarkable. They worked all fall. They met Thursday afternoons for about an hour, and they put together this robot all by themselves. They did all the coding all by themselves. Mr. Ferguson was there as a support, but really these students did it all by themselves, and they should be really proud of themselves. Saturday was a really long day. They got there about 8 o'clock, and they stayed until, I don't think we got home until after 7 o'clock. So it was a really, really long day, but they did amazing. They had all of these things that the robot had to do, but they also had a presentation that they had to do in front of judges who asked them questions about, oh, well, how did you do this? Tell me about this. And so it was just amazing to see, again, 4th and 5th graders being really into STEAM. So kudos to them.
Anything else?
I just wanted to mention that at Beauty and the Beast, I noticed that many people were there that not only don't have kids in the school, but they don't have grandkids in the school either. So just looking around, I thought, wow, this is a lot of community support for this program. So it was really nice to see.
The sets were amazing.
They were awesome.
Like, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, kudos to Dave McLaughlin and his team.
Yeah.
I mean, for the hours and hours that they put in.
Yeah, they didn't, it's my understanding, they didn't just buy this set. and
Oh,
put it up.
no.
I mean, they
No, this was
made
built.
this set. It
Yeah.
was like,
No, this was
I
built.
mean, every year, it just gets better and better and better, but this was.
And you'll see part of the set being reused in the new Shakespeare play that's coming up.
But the costumes, singing, everything was
Right,
really
it
awesome.
was absolutely spectacular, but I watched, like, thinking of when my kids were a long time ago started, and how I was like, and then every year I'm like, and the amount of time and hours. And I'd like to say Dave McLaughlin doesn't even have kids in the school anymore.
No, it doesn't.
He
So, his youngest, I think, has been out 6 years. I think she was with Megan, 5 or 6 years. So it's been a long time, so it is nice to see that community come up. Anything else? All right, I also just want to wish you guys all an amazing, happy holiday. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your families. Do nothing. Have fun. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.